GR IAS Academy.
Hello everyone, welcome to GR IAS Academy. Today we are on day 20 of Mission Surya Programme. It is a 100-day prelims marathon program in which we will be covering 100 important themes from current affairs for prelims 2026. So let's see the first topic for today. So first topic is uneven post-crisis recovery pattern, that is the K-shaped recovery. So we have also seen this K-shaped recovery in the Indian economy post COVID-19 pandemic. K-shaped recovery is a situation where different sectors of the economy recover at different speeds after a crisis. So few sectors experiences a strong growth, whereas few other sectors continue to decline. So if we see here, this is the crisis situation where there is slowdown in the economy, and after that few sectors recover with greater speeds and few sectors continue to decline, forming a K-shape. Let's see the sectoral wide differences. The sectors which are capital intensive and formal sectors, basically the service sectors, recover faster because they have greater access to credit and technology, whereas the sectors like MSMEs, informal workers and other low skilled employment sectors faces difficulty while recovering because they have less access to credit and technology, and also they have low financial resilience in order to recover. So because of these different speeds in recovery, we see inequalities increasing in the economy. And in that post-crisis situation, why the high GDP growth rate can be misleading? Because in the post-crisis situation, GDP growth rate may be good, but it does not include all sectors in the economy. That means it does not imply the inclusive recovery. Few sectors may be still declining. So remember, in the case of K-shaped recovery, there may be macro level recovery happening, but at the micro level, distress may be continuing in few sectors. So that's all. Let's see the next topic. Next topic is government borrowing. Government borrowing refers to raising of funds by government when the revenues are insufficient to cover all the expenditure. So why does governments borrow? Governments borrow to fund developmental projects and to manage the revenue shortfalls, to respond to the natural disasters, that is for the disaster relief purposes, and to stimulate the demand when there is economic slowdown. So there are two forms of borrowing by the government: internal borrowing and the external borrowing. In case of internal borrowing, government issues different kinds of government securities, treasury bills and other state development loans in order to raise funds. In case of external borrowing, government borrows money from various multilateral institutions like World Bank and Asian Development Bank. So if we see the economic impact of the borrowing, if the borrowings are used for productive purposes like to support the counter-cyclical spending, that is to spend when there is economic slowdown, or for the capital investments and for the recovery, if the borrowings are used for these purposes, then it is beneficial for the economy. Whereas if the borrowings are excessive or they are used for unproductive purposes, it may increase the interest burden and it may increase the debt to GDP ratio, overall hampers the macroeconomic stability. So borrowing is not inherently harmful, it just depends on if it is being used for the productive purpose or the unproductive purpose. And if we see the difference between debt and deficit, the fiscal deficit occurs when there is a mismatch between expenditure and revenues. This fiscal deficit is measured over a period of time, hence it is a flow variable. And in case of fiscal deficit, in order to address the deficit, government borrows money, and if government keeps on borrowing, it adds to the debt, that is the public debt. So the public debt is measured at a point of time, hence it is a stock variable. So the public debt is nothing but the accumulated borrowings over a period of time, and it is measured at a point of time. So that's all about the government borrowing. Let's see the next topic, which is Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act, that is the FRBM Act 2003. It is a fiscal law enacted by the government to ensure the macroeconomic stability and to bring the transparency in budgeting process. So let's see the core objectives of FRBM Act. It is enacted by the government to curb the fiscal indiscipline, and it is to improve the intergenerational equity, that is to maintain the debt within the sustainable level so that the burden wouldn't be falling on the future generations. And this law also ensures the budget transparency. So if we see the targets under the FRBM Act, initially the target was to maintain the fiscal deficit up to 3% of GDP, but later, based on the recommendations of encasing committee, we are using the debt to GDP ratio. So FRBM Act mandates the central government to have its debt to GDP ratio up to 40%. That is 40% is the ceiling rate. So there is also an escape clause under the FRBM Act. So under this escape clause, a temporary diversion can be allowed, especially during the situations like war, natural calamities and other severe economic slowdowns. So this using this escape clause, certain deviation was allowed during the COVID-19 pandemic. And also the FRBM Act mandates the government to release few other documents along with the budget document to ensure the transparency. So government along with the budget document releases medium-term fiscal policy strategy and the macroeconomic framework statements. These are released during the budget session. And if you see the implementation of the FRBM Act, the implementation is overseen by Union Ministry of Finance and various departments under it. Niti Aayog plays an advisory role. And an independent fiscal council was proposed to be set up. It is not established yet, it's just a proposal. So that's all. Let's move on to the next topic. Next topic is RBI measures to expand global use of Indian rupee. So RBI has recently brought few policy measures to increase the use of rupee for international transactions, that is the internationalization of Indian rupee, and to reduce the dependence on US dollars. So the core objective is to promote Indian rupee denominated trade settlement and to bring the regional financial integration, that is to increase the use of Indian rupee for the financial transactions, especially in with the neighboring countries, and to enhance the external stability. So in order to increase the use of rupee for international transactions, RBI has brought in few policy actions. So first one is RBI INR lending to neighboring countries. RBI has permitted authorized dealer banks to lend in Indian rupees to the non-resident Indians in the neighboring countries for bilateral trade. So these authorized dealer banks are the banks authorized by RBI for the foreign exchange transactions. This is under the Foreign Exchange Management Act. And other key policy action by the RBI is the expanded use of SRVA balances. SRVA is nothing but Special Rupee Vostro account. So let's see this. There are two types of accounts called as Nostro account and a Vostro account. So Nostro account is nothing but an account held by Indian bank. It's an account by Indian bank or company with a foreign bank. So it's an account held by an Indian bank or company with a foreign bank, whereas Vostro account is an account held by a foreign bank or company with an Indian bank. So we are talking about the Vostro account now. It is a bank account by a foreign company in India. So the special rupee Vostro account is a special type of Vostro account where account is denominated in terms of rupee. So recently RBI has expanded the use of SRVI balances. That means RBI has encouraged the foreign investors to use their balances in the SRVI account to purchase Indian corporate bonds or commercial papers. So corporate bonds or commercial papers are the financial instruments issued by companies to raise funds. So by allowing the SRVI balances to invest in these, we are encouraging the use of Indian rupee by the foreign investors. So these are the few policy actions. And RBI has also proposed to create a transparent Indian rupee reference rates against various currencies. And RBI is also closely monitoring the exchange rate movements, because a stable Indian rupee exchange rate is important for the internationalization of the rupee. And if we see the current external sector position, the current account deficit is currently just 0.2% of GDP, and whereas the foreign exchange reserves are currently $700 billion, which would be sufficient for us to cover up to 11 months of import cover. So these things basically ensure the global investor confidence on the Indian rupee. So that's all. All these encourages the use of Indian rupee in the international transactions. So let's see a few other key terms associated with the topic. We have seen the authorized dealer bank. It is just a bank authorized by RBI for the foreign exchange transactions. And money lended by authorized dealer banks is not considered as a line of credit. It is just a commercial bank lending. Whereas line of credit is a sovereign concessional loans provided to other countries, and line of credit is usually provided through the Exim Bank. The amount lended by authorized dealers is just a commercial lending. And we have seen the Vostro accounts. So that's all. Let's move on to the next topic. Next topic is Payments Regulatory Board, a new apex authority. RBI has constituted Payments Regulatory Board, PRB, that is to modernize and strengthen the payment system related governance in India. So various types of payment systems include UPI, digital wallets, etc. So if we see few more details of PRB, that is the Payment Regulatory Board, it is a statutory body established under Payment and Settlement Systems Act 2007. Previously, a non-statutory body under RBI's Central Board used to monitor the payment systems. Now a separate statutory body is established for this purpose. And the composition of Payments Regulatory Board, it is a 6-member body, and RBI Governor serves as the chairperson, and officials from various government ministries and departments act as members. For example, the Secretary of Department of Financial Services, the Secretary of Electronics and IT Ministry acts as members, and Ms. Aruna Sundararajan, a retired IAS officer, serves as the independent member of the Payments Regulatory Board. And if we see the jurisdiction and the powers, it is the apex regulator for various electronic payment systems like UPI, NEFT, etc. And also it oversees non-electronic systems like the check clearing and all. And it also acts as the apex regulator for domestic and various other cross-border payment systems. So that's all for today. For detailed notes regarding these topics, please visit our website and WhatsApp channels. Links are provided in the description. So with this, we conclude the phase 1 of Mission Surya program. From tomorrow, phase 2 will begin and it will be handled by Spandana ma'am. For all the updates, Please subscribe to GR IAS Academy YouTube channel. Thank you.